Peace, y'all. It's been a minute since I've done a video. Um, I haven't updated in quite a while. I've actually just been dropping some of the projects I've been working on, some of my personal projects, things like that, but I haven't really been on camera talking about my experience. I do have another channel called Real Roots Japan where I'm talking about my experience living in Japan because I live in Japan now. For those of you who may not know, I've been living here for uh, over 2 years now. I'm on my third year in Japan. And yeah, it's been quite an experience. I'd like to, start back up again and dropping more videos. Um, as y'all may know, I'm a indie filmmaker, primarily focused on cinematography and directing. I've been a filmmaker for over 15 years now. It's been a while. Mostly making indie films, collaborating with other artists and other filmmakers along the way. But I have some observations about the Japanese film industry, particularly as it pertains to independent cinema. But it connects to studio cinema as well, I think, because uh, I consider like the golden era of Japanese cinema to be right around the 40s to about late 70s, maybe early 80s, um, where they were making just amazing films. Um, my favorite filmmaker or favorite director of all time is Kenji Mizoguchi. Um, and Japanese cinema is a big reason why I moved to Japan. You know, it sparked my interest into the country in a deeper way. Uh, it made me want to see where these filmmakers were from, maybe some of the places that they went and filmed, etc., etc. So now, fast forward many years after film school and my introduction to Japanese cinema, I'm living here in Japan now and working as an independent filmmaker um, as my primary kind of focus. And I have to say, it's been really disappointing. It's been really disappointing in terms of what I was expecting versus the reality. Uh, what I was expecting was a strong indie film community uh, putting out interesting and substantial stories, um, and that being celebrated both domestically and internationally. But that has been far from the case, particularly in my observation. I don't know, other people might have other opinions, but as far as like what I've experienced and seen, and even to people who are local here, have been here for a while, the sentiment seems to be the same. And there's basically no, I mean, there's almost no indie film community of filmmakers putting out strong, substantial work. Now, there's some exceptions. Obviously, there's always exceptions. But for the most part, I feel like Japanese cinema has been stagnant. And what's being produced out here is predominantly commercials, first and foremost. What's being kind of promoted and financed and pushed. And then there's like really bad TV dramas. Um, and then there's a ton of variety shows. That's pretty much it. And then here and there, you'll see some indie film pop up. And I think in America, we have like a fairly strong indie film industry. Like, I think a lot of indie films are produced, there's a diversity of them, um, there's a decent amount of investment. Um, yeah, and I mean, it's not perfect, and it's still very hard to make indie films in the States, but there's certainly, I think, a healthy amount of support and interest in independent cinema. And a lot of those independent films, particularly feature films, and I'm more so referring to feature films than like shorts. Feature films can make it out to the general public and make it mainstream and get picked up by studios or big distribution companies. There's more of a likelihood of that, although it's very difficult. But in Japan, there's virtually no way in to that kind of exposure that like a studio film would receive. And the industry here is very domestic orientated. So for like independent filmmakers or filmmakers who are working outside of the studio system, they have to basically internationalize their films, get their films seen elsewhere, and then they might get some appreciation, if you will, here in Japan, and more exposure. So, you know, it's yeah, it's a difficult situation. And as a foreigner, if you're coming in and trying to work on films here, that's a whole nother challenge in itself. Um, if you're trying to get into commercial industry, there are some opportunities there because commercials sometimes they want to work with foreigners for another perspective, but that is also a very difficult entry point. You got to either have some strong connection to people in the commercial industry, or an agency is providing you that gig from abroad, or internally, if you're connected to some agency, you're on their roster. But if you're an independent filmmaker who's trying to kind of leverage your work and make something through the commercial industry, I would say it's almost damn near impossible if you don't have some sort of strong connection or ties there. So it leaves you with independent cinema to express your artistry. I would dare say that it's harder to break into the Japanese film industry, as small as it is, than the American film industry, which I thought would be the opposite. So it's been quite a challenge to get work out. But I see the politics of everything, and I also see the kind of the barriers, right, to entry and the barriers to support. It comes back to the grassroots, comes back to the independent filmmakers. It comes back to people who have ties in the industry or who are working in the industry and getting paid from the industry or otherwise. Maybe they have other jobs or other things going on, but their real kind of profession, their real passion is in cinema. It takes all these people coming together, putting aside ego, putting aside kind of the fear, being courageous, taking risks, and collaborating and coming together to start making films that mean something. Films that have substance and story that can uniquely be told here. And I think the potential, the talent is there. And it just takes certain individuals, both Japanese and foreigners, who have the vision and the insight to take Japanese cinema to the next level. Because I think the potential and ability is there, but the vision is lacking. And the vision is really just taking advantage of the beauty of this country, the untold stories of this country, utilizing the untapped potential and talent that exists here, and producing works that can reach not only Japan, but the international stage. Because I think that the next stage for Japanese cinema to thrive and flourish is to become international, more international, both domestically within, like seeing international, more international stories, and obviously abroad. So this is a little bit of a rant and this is a little long, but I just wanted to kind of put out my thoughts on the Japanese film industry and how it could become better, much better than it is now. So watch out for more videos. Hopefully I'll be dropping some more videos soon. Appreciate y'all's time. Have a good one.